Hello and welcome to Female Phenomena. I'm Tushita and today we're going to discuss cryptocurrency. We have a mysterious guest with us today who has years of experience with crypto. Before we start, I just want to tell real quick that this is in no way financial advice. We're just casually discussing cryptocurrency. Also, we've added a twist to this format. So our mysterious guest gets only 30 seconds to answer a question. So let's start. Hi, mysterious guest.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell me in detail what we are going to cover today?
Sure, we are going to cover what cryptocurrency is, how it works, its energy consumption, and its environmental impact, and whether you should invest in it or not.
Sounds good. So tell us what cryptocurrency is, but minus the jargon.
Well, let me try. Cryptocurrency is a digital form of currency that is protected by cryptography.
How is it different from the kind of money you and I use in our everyday lives?
Well, it's more secure. It is divisible in denominations that traditional money cannot match. Like you can't divide 1 rupee to up to 7 decimals, but you can divide a Bitcoin to that level, and some other cryptocurrencies can also be divided up to 8 or up to 10 decimals. So that's plus it's not centralized, so you don't have any controlling authority or middlemen.
Okay, so when you say there's no controlling authority, I have a question. So those who develop this currency, say the current developers who are working on Bitcoin, which is a type of cryptocurrency, they have no control over Bitcoin, as in, is that what you're saying?
See, how it works is that the developers can make an update to Bitcoin because it is open source. Similarly for all the open source cryptocurrencies. However, the Bitcoin network is made up of a lot of miners that enable transactions, and they democratically pass on a judgment of whether they want to accept those proposed updates or not. And if they accept it, it becomes part of the network. Otherwise, it gets scraped off and everyone's back to the drawing board.
So nobody can single-handedly change the nature of Bitcoin. They cannot control its flow in the economy. Or one day before going to bed, chilling in Goa, declare it unusable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
Seriously though, is that the case with all cryptocurrencies, that their nature cannot be changed? Or their flow in the economy cannot be changed?
No, that's not the case with all of them. Some cryptocurrencies are privately owned, like XRP. It has its own private blockchain. Nobody can get details of their blockchain. And so a lot of others are open source, so you can get details of their blockchain. But which is why it is crucial for you to run checks and research before you invest in any of these cryptocurrencies and exactly what you want.
So one more thing, I've always heard people say invest in cryptocurrency. I've never heard anyone say ki buy cryptocurrency, even though you buy it. So is there a reason to it, or I don't know? I've always wondered.
No, it's just a terminology that is commonly used to give you an analogy, how your relationship with gold or property is. People usually go and buy gold or property with the mindset of investing, which is why investment is widely used with cryptocurrency as a whole, rather than just buying it and selling it for various purposes.
So coming back to how secure cryptocurrency is, can you tell us more about that?
It is currently protected by most secure and tested encryption-decryption algorithms in the world, at least the top few cryptocurrencies. So I would say it is extremely secure.
Okay, understood. But isn't our money equally secure in banks?
Those same banks also hold right to inflate or deflate your money. In cryptocurrency, because of decentralization, your hard-earned money is not at the mercy of the bank, and its valuation can remain intact.
So you keep talking about decentralization, so explain that for us, please.
Yes, so no single authority controls or governs cryptocurrency. The system itself is solid enough to ensure not just the security but also the value of the money that you hold in your cryptocurrencies. This is true for all the open source and public blockchain mechanisms. Private cryptocurrencies can still govern their own cryptocurrency.
So, can you give me an example where centralization has caused an issue apart from demonetization?
Sure. Recently, US government printed $3 trillion worth of currency and pumped it into economy to fight the COVID setback, essentially bringing the inflation into the market. And whether that's a good move or not is debatable, but it still brought in an inflation into the market.
Wow, that's more than India's GDP. So anyway, what's the issue with pumping money into economy, given that it's going to help only? And apart from how it affects global prices, what is the issue? Why is it a bad plan, as in?
It's not an evil plan, but it makes room for inflation, and in a way, it's a good thing for wealthy, and not so good for the economically marginalized. But that's a topic for another day. The thing is that the government controls the value of the traditional money that you own.
Yeah.
So that's why people,
Got it.
you see, after COVID, have been flocking to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in my opinion, and try to understand this from a general perspective. So, when a centralized institution like RBI, say, controls value of money in the economy, how is it a bad thing? Because it does bring a general sense of stability in the economy and gives people a fallback option.
So ideally, the vision with cryptocurrency is not to completely eradicate the traditional money system. Both, I feel, can and will coexist. Now, how you bring that into the present system as a government is by regulating it. And currently, as we speak, RBI or the Indian government, both of them are working on bringing regulations on it.
Okay. When people talk about disadvantages of cryptocurrency, one of the most discussed one is its environmental impact.
Okay, let me tell you that industry leaders believe that it will actually push us in a direction of renewable and environmental friendly resources of energy, and that it will actually speed up the whole process of reaching a state where energy generation is not an issue to the mankind. This is debatable, but I think this is the right way to look at it.
So, are you saying it's an energy issue? It's not a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency issue?
Now, to clarify the environmental part, essentially you just need to burn electricity to run Bitcoin or any other crypto network, right? So you don't need to burn coal. When you burn coal, byproduct is greenhouse gases, which is extremely harmful for the environment. Here we just need to find out sustainable sources, and we know that we have abundant energy. So, yeah.
But a responsible thing would be to introduce some optimization to cryptocurrencies to cut down on this.
Yes, cryptocurrencies will get their due optimizations down the line, and if you look at the Moore's law, our computational power is always going to go up, and we are going to be more efficient and faster in the future. So a lot of existing cryptocurrencies like Nano or IOTA already have extremely green solutions. So we are going to move in that direction.
Since we said no jargons, can you just quickly explain Moore's law to our listeners?
So Moore's law typically predicts, it's a principle that the speed and capability of the computers can be expected to double every 2 years as a result of increases in the number of transistors that are going to be there on a microchip. So essentially it means that the computers are going to get faster and a lot more efficient, less energy consuming and all of that.
Cool, thank you. Another concern is how cryptocurrency actually facilitates illegal and even terrorist activities across the internet. So what do you have to say about that?
About illegal online activities, see, all kinds of money can facilitate that, and similarly paper money has contributed to it for decades.
Yeah.
Now, as compared to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, thanks to blockchain, every transaction is accountable, end-to-end accountable. Which means where it got created, who all used it, who transferred it, to whom, everything is trackable. So, yeah.
Okay, again, trackable is an issue because privacy concerns, right?
Yes, so cryptocurrency essentially will track your IP addresses, nothing more than that. So essentially, if a government wants to track you down, they can use an IP address, but they don't have additional details about you essentially. So yeah.
Yeah, so it is way safer than our paper money and digital money. Understood. Yeah. I think this brings us to the end of our episode. Anything that you want to add before we wrap up, and you don't have a 30-second limit on that now?
So only one point I would like to add here is that cryptocurrency is not meant to eradicate the current financial system at all, physical or the digital money that we hold. So ideally, cryptocurrency or the traditional currency can coexist. Instead of being reluctant we should be embracing the cryptocurrency, and every government should look at regulating it and making it a part of a monetary system.
Cool, sounds good to me, and it'll be awesome if we are actually able to realize this plan. A quick announcement for our listeners. So, we'll be continuing this series. We'll also cover how cryptocurrency is made, as in mining, and where is Bitcoin coming from, what is Bitcoin, its journey, and a lot of other things about cryptocurrencies. So, stay tuned if you want to know more. Thank you so much, mysterious guest, for joining us today, and a big thank you to our listeners. We hope this helped. And keep following us for more awesome content. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah, keep us posted on what more you'd like to see in our podcasts. Until next time, bye bye.